The musicality production.
And welcome to this week's episode of the Esoteric Podcast.
Hello everyone, as always I am T.J.Bunker and with me is Wesley. RJ is not here. We don't actually know why. We haven't heard from him all day, so hopefully he did not die in a fiery car crash. And he will stop in midway through. Otherwise, it's entirely possible he has a surprise birthday party that nobody was told about. I don't know. Because I got an email this morning from my calendar sending me emails telling me that tomorrow was his birthday, which I don't even know if that's true. So maybe RJ will be joining us later. I don't know. But this is the Esoteric Podcast. We, of course, stream live right here on Twitch every Sunday, usually at 3 o'clock. Although the last couple of weeks that has varied due to various reasonings. You can always find the edited version, cut down for time, and staying on topic over on our YouTube channel. Those go up Saturday nights at 6.
Yep.
6 seems right. We have also begun doing other random things over the course of the week. Tuesdays, we've been putting up reviews of video game soundtracks. We have so far done Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. That went up this past week. Going up this coming week on Tuesday is going to be Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
And then we also have done a few extra episodes that are over on our YouTube channel that go up occasionally.
Yeah, which seem to be going up once a week, which makes me think we'll just be continue doing random extra episodes.
Random extra content. More content for our fans. We also are over on Twitter. We're still not very good at this Twitter thing. We're getting better at it.
How does one
look
Twitter?
Like it, but we're getting better at it. You can find us at the Esoteric Pod. And if you really, really like what we're doing, you want to support us, you want to get us some better equipment, maybe some video cameras so you can see what we look like and see more than just this logo during the video. You can support us over on Patreon. We are the Esoteric Podcast over on Patreon, and we will be working on some Patreon exclusive content, so that those who support us get content exclusively for them. We haven't worked out the nuts and bolts on that yet. I am T.J.Bunker. I am a novelist. You can read my novel, The Future Calls, available on Amazon and in your local bookstore, if your local bookstore carries 4, 5-year-old, never very popular book. So probably not at your local bookstore, but hey, maybe, if you get lucky. And of course, you can follow Wesley over on YouTube. He is DemosI over on YouTube. He does Let's Play.
Monday, album reviews. Friday night, improvised Let's Plays.
Alright, Monday album reviews and Friday Let's Plays. And as is apparently become a meme for this podcast, I am looking to put my writing talents up for doing an Esoteric Podcast blog. Have not started that yet. Maybe next week. One of these days it's going to be an actual thing. I will do a blog. I've been busy, stressed lately. Haven't had time, desire, and we got to squeeze in multiple movies and video games in a week for all of this crap we put up. So, got to work it in somewhere. But this this week on the Esoteric Podcast, we will be talking about Alice Through the Looking Glass. The new movie just dropped on DVD and Blu-ray this week. Axiom Verge, an older Metroidvania-style game. And Independence Day Resurgence, which also just dropped on DVD and Blu-ray this week. Yeah, that's going to be fun. We're going to sandwich this. Hate the thing, love the thing, hate the thing. It'll be super cool. But before we get to that, we are going to talk about our opinions on the voice actors' strike.
Yes.
Video game voice actors just went on strike Friday. They will begin picketing at EA on Monday. No idea why they picked EA as the place they were going to picket. Also, don't know if they are going to picket at any other publishers or just EA. It may just be the unfortunate luck of EA to have a studio in California. It's the only studio in the LA area where a lot of these voice actors work that happens to be in the area and therefore easily picketable. I don't know.
Well, there's a million reasons to picket at EA. It's just why the voice actors?
Well, yeah, I don't know why they chose just EA though, with so many companies being involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the nuts and bolts of the story. I'm always leery when siding with unions who are asking for more money because sometimes it's because these people are being dramatically underpaid and the union is doing a good job. Sometimes it's because the union they need to look like they are doing something for their membership. Otherwise, people will start going, why am I paying the union to be in the, for my membership when they're not really doing anything for me? In this case, I don't know where that is. I don't know enough about the financial ins and outs of the voice actor markets. I don't know where that is. But I do know that as far as some of the options involving money they're talking about, I am on the union side in this. At least as far as the marketing is concerned, what I understand it to be. Like, one of the things the union is pushing for is an option of lower upfront payment in exchange for residual. Because right now, these people might be making like $600 for 4 hours work. I mean, don't get me wrong, $600 for 4 hours work is damn good. Oh, yeah. I would love $600 for 4 hours work. But, in the grand scheme of things, we're talking, let's say you put in 80 hours recording lines for something like Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
That's 20 times 600. That's a reasonable wage. But then again, Call of Duty, grossed like billions of fucking dollars every year, every installment. I mean, Activision is raking in money on this. So, yeah, I why not, let the voice actor have the choice. Mark it down, get paid less in the beginning, but you then get paid more later. I mean, and I would be okay with this only being something available for people making more money, or not more money, but, putting in more voice work. I mean, if you put in 2 hours, obviously your residuals should not be in a way that you're going to get, like $400,000 in residuals on a game that grosses $10 million. That's absurd. But, so the money front, Wesley, what are you thinking?
I would love that for someone who's, has more of a role in the game as a voice actor to be paid like that, because a lot of these voice actors put in a lot of work for what they're trying to do, and they just deserve to be paid what they are due.
Yeah. Speaking of doing a lot of work, I've never been a voice actor. So I'm not entirely certain, the stresses of the job and stuff. And I do know movie actors will sometimes do take after take after take for like 12 hours a day on a scene. But I've also read stories of like voice actors doing a 4-hour session, doesn't sound like a lot, but of like nonstop screaming, grunting, just this stressful work on the vocal cords for 4 hours straight, without hazard pay, without, anything around. And that's another thing that the union wants is some sort of regulation on how much stress can you put on your vocal cords. At one time, anyway, because let's face it, that is these people's job. It's their skill. It's what if they lose their vocal cords, they're done.
Yeah. Yeah, and
so yeah, it's a thing. They should be preventing as much stress as they can get away with. And apparently, I didn't even know this, but apparently a lot of voice actors are also required to do mocap, motion capture for their jobs. And apparently, one of the union's demands is that we have a stunt coordinator on the mocap set. As opposed to just the guy operating the cameras to make sure you don't get fucking injured. You, the untrained mocap, or the untrained voice actor who's doing fucking mocap, doesn't know what the hell they're doing, prevent you from injury. There's nobody on the set to prevent this? What the fuck, man?
Yeah, like, I remember even, I was reading about that in an article, and I'm like, wait, there's no stunt coordinator. Like, for any other film or any other medium, there'd be a stunt coordinator, but there's none for video game mocap? What? Yeah,
I mean, just what the hell? And then another thing, another one of their demands is to know what project they're working on after they signed up for it. I just saw an article a month or two ago about the voice. There was a game. What was that game? There was a game that went to Steam, and the whole point of it being on Steam was to straight up piss people off and upset them.
Hatred?
It involved,
Hatred?
Hatred, yeah, that one. There were a bunch of articles that went up talking about how the voice actors in that game were not told what this game was when they signed up. And now that they know what it is, they want off. They do not want this credit attributed to their name. They do not want their name associated with this in any way. They want their voice stricken from the game. But the contracts they signed won't let them do this because the video game industry will deny everything and keep everything secret right up until the marketing-approved moment to announce it. In keeping with that, everybody saw the Nintendo Switch trailer, I'm going to assume. If not, we talked about that on Thursday when the trailer dropped. We got a YouTube video up talking about that. Go check it out. But in that, Skyrim was shown. And Bethesda is in the list of names that Nintendo released of partners, companies that they're partnering with. When asked, Bethesda said, "We are not confirming that we're releasing Skyrim on the Nintendo Switch." Really, guys, we saw your game in the goddamn trailer, and you're not going to, because it's not the marketing-approved moment to make that announcement, so we're going to deny it existing in spite of mounting evidence, But that same secrecy is keeping voice actors from knowing what projects they're working on, knowing what games their voice and their likeness, in the case of, getting the mocap and stuff, and their name, what games these things are going to be associated with. They don't know. Nobody's willing to tell them.
Yeah.
Because everything has to be secretive.
Yeah, it's just, especially in that, I remember one of the articles I read was, I think it was the person who did the female voice for Fallout 4 protagonist. They had no idea they were working on Fallout 4. And from what I read, they would have asked for at least a bit of a higher pay for that high profile of a game.
Yeah. Yeah, especially without the residuals being baked into the contract with the union, like they're currently fighting for. Well, without that being a thing, why in the name of God? Keeping it secret gives the studio gives the game producer all of the power. You don't even know what game you're working on. Are you about to throw away a great contract on a game that turns out to be a low-profile thing where they just don't have the budget, and hey, if you're going to be a dick about it, we don't want to work with you? Or is EA or Activision or Bethesda or somebody doing a game that is going to make millions upon millions upon billions of dollars? Are they trying to pull one over on you by pretending it's a low-profile game and making it seem, less than it is? Transparency needs to be in this contract. Why it's not? Why this is not being offered to the people working on it? I don't know. Seems ridiculous.
Yeah, like, just in general, voice actors are such an integral part to video games that they should be getting their fair cut.
Yeah. I mean, look at a game like, crap, I can't remember the name of it. It's another Konami game, I want to say. No, it's a Capcom game. Can't remember the name of it. It's a Capcom game. But every single iteration of the game, they've replaced the voice actor with somebody else. And every time you're playing the game, especially if you're a fan of the series, I mean, it's got to be jarring. It's like, bam, he's all of a sudden a different person. And worse, voice actors aren't just reading the dialogue. Yes, a lot of the character's personality is imbued by the game developers and the way they do the animations and stuff. But a lot of that personality also comes from the voice actors. That's why having the low-quality voice actors in Deus Ex was so bad. I mean, not only could we not really get the characterization from the animation of the era, but the voice actors, not really being voice actors for the most part, couldn't give the characterization with their voice. So everything just seemed dull and drab and characterless. Having a voice actor means that you're going to get this characterization. Just randomly changing out voice actors all the time, you're getting different characterization all the time. These people are not interchangeable. They deserve to be held up as a integral part of the characterization of these characters. And they deserve the recognition that comes with that. And they deserve the compensation that comes with that.
Just they're such an integral part that the fact that this is only coming up now, these issues, it surprises me.
These are issues that should have been solved 10 years ago, in my opinion. So, all right, let's move on. As this story develops and the strike continues, we might do one of our midweek extra episodes. Throw that out there just to continue covering our topics on it. We might cover it again in a future Sunday live stream if it's big enough and close enough to the weekend, and we don't decide to do an impromptu midweek one to get it out there sooner. We thought about doing a second midweek one on Friday after the strike was official. Decided to wait until today, though. Thought it was close enough. So expect to hear more of our opinions on this going forward. But for now, I think we got a lot to talk about today, so I think we should move on. So Alice, Through the Looking Glass, the sequel to Alice in Wonderland that Tim Burton directed a few years ago. This one is not directed by Tim Burton. This one actually had a different director. I did not know that until I saw the opening credits. I thought Tim Burton was also directing it. And apparently in some manner based on Alice Through the Looking Glass, the sequel story by Lewis Carroll. The sequel to the first book, Alice in Wonderland. I've never read Through the Looking Glass. I don't know whether or not any of the random bullshit that transpired in this movie is actually in that book.
I had a friend who read it for an English project she had. From what she told me, it was it was kind of like the original Alice in Wonderland, but less time travel-y, I think.
Well, seeing as how this entire movie was all about the time travel-y, I don't know what they copied. Because, I have read the Alice in Wonderland book, and I've seen Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. And if the translation from book to movie held together as well in this case as it did that one, I expect the novel to be vastly, completely different.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Because, yeah, I hated the first movie. The Alice in Wonderland novel is just this absurdist romp. It is just random happening after random happening, and the absurdity of the whole situation is the point. And Tim Burton went, oh, no, that was actually just a little girl misremembering everything, and then still trying to make everything seem as absurd as it did in the book anyway, while trying to give everyone greater motive. And, I mean, Alice becomes a chosen one following a prophecy to defeat the Jabberwocky, and what? Just what? Yeah. God, I hate that.
This movie, like, halfway through it, I was like, there's a plot. I know there's a plot, but where did it go?
Yeah, this movie actually was a lot closer to the absurdist romp, but it was not fun, because it wasn't absurdist. It wasn't just bizarre happening after bizarre happening. And in fact, here in Through the Looking Glass, they went out of their way, it seemed, to explain why everything that seemed absurd in the first one was absurd. I mean, Helena Bonham Carter's giant head in the first one was one of those rare moments of absurd crap happening. She's just got this giant head on a normal-sized body. And in this movie, they show the scene when she gets a giant head. It's because she just got super mad and her head got really big. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Do we have to try explaining all the absurd stuff? And then all of the characters who were, like, on Alice's side in the first movie, who I thought in the first movie were, like, all living on their own, and Alice just kind of kept running into them, from what I remember. Through the Looking Glass shows them all as, like, childhood friends. What?
Yeah, which I didn't think the Cheshire Cat was actually a child. I thought he was just born the, like, giant thing he was.
But no, a little cat who is showing off to his friends how, ooh, look, I worked out my invisibility powers. Oops, missed my tail and the dog bit it, ha ha. And what?
No, that was one of my favorite parts about the Cheshire Cat, because I saw the original cartoon when I was younger.
Sure.
And I remember loving the character because it's like there was never an explanation. It was just he knew how to do it.
Yeah, it was a thing he did. And there was never an explanation in the original book either, because once again, the book was just absurdist thing after absurdist thing after... that was deliberate. Have you heard any of the... I don't even know if any of these are true, or all of these are true, or... But do you know the various legends behind the creation of the original Alice in Wonderland book?
If I remember correctly, one was the author was on drugs.
No, that is not one of the generally accepted things, actually. No, the Lewis Carroll was a mathematician of the era. This also happens to be around the era that imaginary numbers as a mathematical concept was coming into being. One of the explanations is that Lewis Carroll was in the realist camp, who was like, no, imaginary numbers are bullshit. We should not have them in our math. And Alice in Wonderland was an allegorical tale showing how stupid and absurd everything becomes when imaginary is, allowed into things.
Which ended up selling very well. Isn't that ironic?
Another option, and technically these are not exclusive, but another option is that a good friend of his, Charles Dobson, I don't know, something like that, had a little girl named Alice, and other children. But as a thing that they did, because this was the 1800s, and there's literally nothing else to do. Internet hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah.
Lewis, who was single because he was a member of the clergy, would go out on boat rides with his friend Charles and his friend Charles' family. And on these boat rides, Lewis Carroll would tell these absurd stories to the little girl Alice and her sisters and possibly brothers. I don't remember the makeup of the Dodson family. And then years later, Alice encouraged him to write them all down and publish them. Once again, this could be Lewis Carroll telling these stories as an allegory for math to children because, hey, as it turns out, absurdist allegories for math make good children's tales. Like I said, these are not mutually exclusive, but yeah. So anyway, you look at it, it was just supposed to be, it was either off-the-cuff, made-up crap that he was telling a little girl to entertain her on a boat ride, or it's an allegory for absurdist math, or, so the absurdity was the equation.
Yeah.
And the original Alice in Wonderland Tim Burton movie tried to give it all reason and meaning, and that goes against the spirit of the fucking thing. This one does a similar thing. Especially in the beginning, when Alice first gets back to Wonderland, look at how many of the lines of dialogue are absolute meaningless gibberish, but are supposed to have meaning and importance. And the problem with that is the lines of dialogue were still gibberish. They still meant nothing. I don't care how hard you suggest they do mean something, you just don't understand it right. No, it was still gibberish bullshit.
Yeah. My mom loved the first Tim Burton movie to death, and I remember watching it and just being like, this isn't the best thing ever. Like, not even a little. Because I grew up on the original cartoon that Disney made, that I actually really liked.
Yes, and you'll notice the original cartoon stuck with the absurdist fantasy through line. It was just Alice going from one random set of events to another where weird stuff without logic and rules was happening. Yeah, let's stop trying to apply logic and rules to that. The whole theory was there wasn't logic and rule.
Logic flew out the window 2 minutes ago. We're done.
Yeah, probably is a literal construct in Wonderland. But no, both of these films try applying logic and rules, and it just doesn't freaking work. It misses the point entirely. And Alice as a character, at least in the original film, her character sort of had a narrative arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is her narrative arc in this movie? She starts off, she tells the first mate on her ship, or whoever this guy is, that the only way to achieve the impossible is to believe it is possible, right?
Yeah.
She straight up tells him that after that whole escape the pirate by going through the rock thing.
By the way, that beginning, I was like, did I accidentally put on Independence
The wrong
Day?
movie? Yeah. Well, what the hell movie am I watching? Why is there a pirate ship involved? But yeah, then she goes to Wonderland, where the very first thing she does is she looks at the Mad Hatter and goes, "Your family's dead. They can't be alive. That's impossible." I'm sorry, Alice. Didn't you just, 10 minutes ago say the only way to achieve the impossible is to believe that it is? You just regressed your own character arc for the sake of getting back to where you started the movie at. Because we couldn't come up with a better thing to do with your character, apparently.
Which reminds me about the whole Hatter's family being dead. I immediately knew that they were alive halfway through the film when she was talking with Time. Or, sneaking around Time's hideout.
Sure. Yeah, anybody know why they even had any of that in it? It was, might have been supposed to be funny, but what did it add to the movie?
Time's hideout, or?
Yeah. There were a few moments in that actually added something to the movie, but the scene with the watches, going from alive to dead, because that's where they clearly, if you were paying attention and remembered the Mad Hatter's family name, that right there proved they were alive.
Yeah.
That scene had importance.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of that, though, just
yeah,
what?
It was. I mean, there was importance in that. That's where she found the Oh gosh, what was it called? The thing that let her time travel.
Yeah, whatever it was. Sure, but couldn't we have, I don't know, shortened that by like 5 minutes and still accomplished the same thing?
Yeah, we could have, but yeah, that scene was very needless now that I think about it. Holy wow.
Yeah, it wasn't as needless as the asylum scene.
Oh gosh, that scene was so...
Literally. Other than all of the other media, where, and possibly even Through the Looking Glass, hell, for all I know, Through the Looking Glass, the book, involved Alice being in an asylum, because she came back after her adventures in the first book, and started telling her family, and they were like, wow, you're crazy, you're getting locked up. Having not read it, I don't know. If that's the case, that would be the only reason to have the asylum scene in this movie. It added nothing to the movie.
It was just like, hey, we're in an asylum. Hey, we're gone.
Yeah, like when Alice shows up at the end of the movie, and Hamish is like all flipping out over what is going on, there was no scream of, oh my god, she's an escaped mental patient. Somebody lock her up to get her out of this meeting and ruining my meeting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
One would think that would have come up. Especially because he's the one who had her committed.
Yeah, it added nothing. It was almost as needless as the Wolverine cameo in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yes. I mean, Jesus, just what the fuck. Yeah, and let's go back to her statement earlier, is the only way to do the impossible is to believe that it's possible. Did you get the feeling, from both of these movies, that is supposed to be like the through line, the message you're supposed to take away? Children should take away is always believe in yourself and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but the way they phrase it, I'm scared for any child that's like, you know what? I can fly off the roof, and it's like, no, Johnny, you can't.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I am picturing children standing on the roof going, Mommy, you tell me that it's impossible for people to fly, but I believe that it is possible. And that's literally all it takes. So I jump off the roof, and oh crap, now I've got a broken arm or possibly broken neck, or, you know. And then, you know what really would have shortened this whole film? We have Alice asking to borrow I'm going to call it a time turner. Harry Potter was a better movie. This will just make me remember good times instead of bad times. So Alice is asking to borrow the time turner, her little flying sphere thing. And time goes, nope, won't let you do it. It's vitally important. Taking it will murder me and all of time. So, of course, she does anyway, and then he gets on what is one of them, like, push rail car things. You know, you always see it in old-timey movies and cartoons and stuff, where you just push up and down in the lever to make it go down the train tracks.
Yeah.
He gets in one of those to go through time. Why couldn't he have been, you can't take the, time turner, because that's going to frickin' murder me and time. Here, take this one. It's not like you can actually change time anyway. You won't be able to ruin anything. And you also won't be able to ruin all of time by literally stealing the only thing keeping time running.
Which reminds me of that. The ending. Where everything's turning to rust, I think.
Yeah, it like sprouts rust crystal.
Yeah. And like, she like barely just misses it. But then, for some reason, time is
because she didn't know how to let go.
Yeah.
She just opened her fingers, it would have fallen into place, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. But no, apparently, time can, like, move.
Didn't you know that rust crystals are capable of conducting electricity? Rust crystals are electroconductive. And there was enough time electricity going through there that it...
If that happened immediately, I'd accept it, but the fact it took, like, 3 seconds...
Took longer than that. We had to cut to the scene of the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there was the whole part where it was freezing. I mean, it's not got any closer.
Mm-hmm. But it's just... That part alone, I was just sitting there like, yeah, I totally believe that. Let me just bang my head against this wall to make myself, to lower my intelligence down to that level. Just,
Yeah, just freaking, oh my god. But yeah, we could have saved so much time and energy in this movie if time had just been like, yeah, you can't take that, but here, take this instead. I've got a vehicle for going through time.
all the time.
But no.
We're just talking about time this whole segment.
Yeah. But no, she takes the big important time turner, and then she's like, how do I drive this thing? Oh, it's just like a ship!
Except not at
What
all.
ship? They showed her at the beginning of the movie on a ship. There was a whole thing where she had to climb a mast to mess with sails to do her little tip the boat over nonsense. I didn't see masts or sails associated with this little time turner.
Yeah, what kind of ship was that? Because that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, at most, that would be like a steamship.
Yeah.
Which I don't think she's ever been on. And, oh yeah, no, steamships still have steering wheels. And from what I understand, in most steamships, the levers and stuff you pull actually just signals the people down in engineering to do different things. You still have to have a bunch of people down there doing things, if I understood that right.
More than likely.
At least in the era that this movie takes place, you know.
Yeah.
Just what the fuck, man. So much
Unexplained.
dumb, wrong, and the movie did do one thing that I like. Well, actually, I did two things that I like. One little minor thing, and the ending. I actually kind of like the ending. There was something actually, even though I hated everything that got to that point, the actual ending, like everything from when Alice got back and confronted Hamish through to her opening her own company, I actually liked. I thought that was well done and had a good message, and that should have literally been the entire movie. Like, just that. Just everybody shows up, watches that scene, goes home, we're done.
Okay, so, I hate to bring you off topic, but, RJ just messaged me.
Oh!
RJ, if you can hear this, because I see you're watching us, apparently, I'm going to add you into the call now.
RJ, are you with us?
I should be in now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can?
Yes!
All right, perfect. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, sorry about that. My throat is just horrendous, but I got some tea in me now, so I should be good.
Alright.
Hopefully my kid stays quiet enough behind me or you won't have to hear her.
Alright.
Alright. Today we are talking about Alice Through the Looking Glass.
The movie, I'm gonna stop you right there. The movies I did not get to, but I did play Axiom Verge, and I loved it.
Okay. Well, that is up next.
Perfect.
So, yeah, right now we are lambasting Alice Through the Looking Glass.
I bet. I heard
actually, we had just begun the segment where I talk about the two things I liked. So the ending, Wesley, how did you... from leaving Wonderland or Underland or whatever the fuck this stupid-ass trite wants to call it.
Wonderland.
From there onwards, I loved it to death. It was an awesome ending.
Yes. Everything up to that point, absolute crap, and the ending depended so very little on the rest of the film that the rest of the film didn't even hurt it at all. Because it was its own little thing.
So a typical Tim Burton film, then.
Tim Burton did not direct this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really.
Okay.
I did not know that until I saw the opening credits myself. I thought Tim Burton directed this one as well, but no, different guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this, oh my god, such a terrible, terrible movie.
So I should like it then, in other words.
Oh god, I think it might even be too terrible for you.
Really? Because I liked the first one, like the whole thing. I mean, there's some stuff that made me kind of go, the first one that kind of made me go, what?
Yeah, bottom line for me, this movie, I did like it better than the first one, mostly because I didn't read the original Through the Looking Glass, I'm sure. I'm sure the biggest difference isn't that this is a better movie, but I am not comparing it to the much, much better source material that they are ripping off, missing the point of so badly and ruining. There were just so many scenes in this movie that should have been shortened or just cut out completely because they had nothing to do with anything. They didn't help. So many scenes where they were making the rare instances of just absurd things from the first movie that they just let lie in the first movie that were absurd for the sake of being absurd, like the original source material did. But then they tried giving them backstory and explanations for why they are the way they are, and they just all were terrible and stupid, and I hated them.
Yeah.
Just so many things. I mean, the whole thing behind the Queen of Hearts being the angry little bitch child she is because her younger sister stole a tart and got her in trouble for it?
Bottom line for me, I wasn't a fan of this movie at all. So, I wouldn't suggest.
Alright, so, God, we've got less than an hour left. Axiom Verge and Independence Day to talk about. RJ, I think we're going to put your news off again this week.
Oh, that's fine. Considering I was late, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
We spent the first half hour of this podcast talking about the video game writers' strike.
Yeah, I know. I was actually looking into that earlier. I was like, I can't believe the shit that that a lot of those actors have to deal with.
Yeah, no, it's some pretty terrible stuff. So, all right, Axiom Verge. I like the gameplay for the most part.
Yeah, it's to me it felt like your standard Metroidvania, except
it's very Metroidvania. To me it seemed like Metroidvania by way of Insomniac. In case you guys don't remember or don't know, Insomniac did Ratchet and Clank. Is actually the specific Insomniac game I'm thinking of. Because there are, 5 million weapons you can pick up in Axiom Verge?
Oh my gosh, there's...
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't play too far. I played maybe like a half an hour to an hour's worth of it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's I want to say close to 30 or 40 weapons.
Yeah, I beat the game in 6.5 hours, getting 95% of the stuff. And there were a few items, I knew exactly where they were, I just gave up trying to get into them. There's this one, Wesley, you might know what I'm talking about, there's this one thing, you have to, jump off an edge, shoot your droid, warp to where the droid is, and then teleport through the wall.
Yeah.
Which has this, massive... It's like a fighting game series of buttons, and I couldn't pull it off. I never got it.
You gotta have, you gotta have crazy reflexes for that kind of stuff.
I kept ending up underneath the room that you're supposed to teleport into, and I finally just gave up. And I actually am pretty sure from there must be more stuff to the left of that, because there was more map I never got around to over there either. I couldn't find a way into it.
Oh, there's a ton of stuff in this game. That's why I didn't 100% this game. Because I knew I wouldn't be able to do it before this podcast.
Oh, like I said, 6.5 hours, I got 95% of the stuff. It's... Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly, rocket science to find all this crap.
Yeah.
It's... Yeah, yeah, the gameplay wasn't bad. I don't know why there were so many weapons. There were a lot of them, especially, when I got, the first 5 to 10 of them, I was trading between all of them in different situations and stuff. And then eventually, I found 2 of them that I liked, and I never bothered to use any other weapon. The 2 of them that I really liked were the, now I'd have to go play the game again to remind myself.
Yeah.
What did they do?
Oh, the lightning one that auto targets things.
Oh yeah, that one is amazing.
Yep. That one, and then the The one that basically shoots through things. That's the one, to beat the final boss, I literally walked over to a corner, pointed up at that thing in the center, and mashed the button. So I was shooting through whichever enemy took that spot and hitting it, and then it would blow up. Usually the enemies would die, and I just jump up and get the health. I mean, don't get me wrong, I took a bunch of freaking damage doing it. It's not a way to accomplish it on low health mode, but yeah, I still had all kinds of health by the time I finished.
I noticed that very quickly. This game, with this game specifically, I never got the feeling like I was the most overpowered thing in the room. I always got the feeling like, yes, I'm pretty comfortable destroying everything, but if I take a couple pot shots, I'm dead.
The first time I went to, I don't remember what the area was called anymore. It's in the upper right corner of the map. They got those gold, they remind me of the Metroids from Metroid games. They kind of got that saucer shape to them and what have you. Those things, oh my god, I hated those. I immediately left that area, and I was like, okay, where else can I go? Like, that was an unexplored area of the map. I said, screw it, I went back to previous areas I had been to, looking for secrets I hadn't found, which is where I came across the lightning gun. And then once I had the lightning gun, I went back to that area. I was like, aha, fuck you guys, I'll just dodge your shots while holding down the fire button, because I don't have to try and aim anymore.
Ikerma, that's the place you're thinking of.
Okay, yeah, no, such a fucking annoying location. But then I got the lightning gun, and all of a sudden I was like, ah ha ha ha, you guys suck.
I auto-target all of you, prepare to die.
Yeah, and then I found the one that shoots through things, and fuck, man, I was like, aha, there's a wall between us, and aha, you died, now I'll teleport through the wall.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't get too far into it because I got frustrated with those zombie motherfuckers that like leap at you or whatever they're called. I don't know what they are.
Do you have that shock thing, the lightning-looking thing that shoots through walls, but it doesn't? I guess that was.
Yeah, I did.
It does the little like sphere of electricity right around or right in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, the lightning gun or whatever it's called.
What you do is you crouch down and move forward while mashing that button. You will do a bunch of damage to them as they pop out of the ground and then land in front of you, and they almost always die.
No, they weren't. They weren't in the ground. What they would do is they like stand there idle, like with their arms at the side. All of a sudden, you get close to it, they'd be like, "Holy shit!" And then they like throw their arms up and jump at you.
Then stand way far away from them and shoot them a lot.
Yeah, I kept doing that, but like they take a lot of damage.
Well, that's because in the early games,
you must not have found as many of the damage upgrades as.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I'm not good at these games. I get frustrated too easily by them.
Okay. Because, those guys never really posed much of a challenge to me. The only ones that really annoyed me were the ones that jumped out of the ground until I discovered the crouch down and murder them that way method.
Mm-hmm.
But I was finding, secrets were very easy to find in this game. Like, a lot of Metroid games, I end up finishing with, 50% of the items found if I don't do a follow a walkthrough. This one I had 95% of the items. Most of the hidden things are super easy to find. They're either in a map location that you've never been to before, or, oh look, here's some rocks you can drill into. Let's drill into them. Oh look, there was an item hidden in them. Didn't see that coming.
It was a. It's one of the games I picked up when I was on my Final Fantasy binge, and it really reignited my love for Metroidvanias when I played it, so...
It's fun, don't get me wrong. It's a quality Metroidvania, it's well put together. It's just, don't go into it expecting your super hard Easter egg hunts like Metroid games do. And we're not talking levels of difficulty finding things like in... Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, where a mistranslated sign that is supposed to tell you where in the world you throw holy water to open the ground up to
Dracula's...
Dracula, yeah. That sign was mistranslated when they put it into English.
What did it say?
I don't remember, but it didn't did not give you proper instructions anymore.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think the only way anybody ever got through it was either you were the guy who ran throughout the entire game throwing holy water and every other item you had on the ground hoping you'd find something, or you heard from somebody on the schoolyard, playground, or whatever, who had talked to one of the Nintendo game counselors, who got the information straight from fucking Japan. I have no doubt calls to game counselors when that game came out were all about, well, where the fuck's Dracula? I got this sign. What does this sign mean? And they go, okay, here's the thing. Here's what a good translation would be like. We had to talk to Japanese people for this. Would not surprise me at all, because that sign was mistranslated and fucks you up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The story.
Oh my
story of Axiom
gosh.
Verge. It is, not bad. Not really good.
It's not Metroid Fusion levels of good, but at the same time, it's not Metroid Other M levels of bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's serviceable. It's, the game opens with a cinematic of a lab explosion, and then bam, you wake up in a egg-shaped pod.
And then it turns out you're the clone of the bad guy, and then it turns out that you aren't because you wake up as the bad and things and what oh gosh.
I was pleasantly wrong. I spent a lot of time playing this game anticipating some Evoland cyclical time travel bullshit at the end. Where it turns out that the actual guy who lived through the explosion came here, got turned into got cloned and went home, and you as a clone defeated, were sent back in time for some reason after defeating the bad guy and became the bad guy.
Yeah, I was half
that
expecting
did not
that too.
happen, at least until the after credits scene,
where you woke up as Oh wait, what happened in the after credits?
This may have been linked to getting enough stuff, and you may never have gotten enough stuff. I don't know. But you end up, the AIs or the sentient computer, I don't even know what the fuck these things are. They send you back to Earth or possibly to an alternate Earth or something.
And you wake up, and then your character's like...
You wake up after the explosion, but you were not injured like you originally had been.
Yeah, and your Trace basically says, I need to get back to that place.
Yes. And then, if you have enough stuff, the bad guy, whose name I don't remember,
Athetos.
walks in and shoots you.
Really?
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Which just throws everything you know about the game out the fucking window. Yeah, somehow the bad guy walks in and shoots you.
Wow, that's that is pulling some Evoland bullshit.
No, because because it doesn't necessarily involve time travel or...
Okay.
I mean, it's not really... there's, literally no explanation.
Okay.
Near as I can tell, they threw in something that didn't necessarily make a damn bit of sense to provoke conversations amongst people. Trying to make sense of it.
Okay.
Because from what I can tell, a lot of the story of this game is told in a way deliberately trying to provoke people from overanalyzing the hell out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the things that you learn from questionable sources.
Oh, yeah.
So what is truth? Are these people lying? Did you go through, Wesley, you said you didn't find a lot of stuff, so how many of the notes did you find throughout the game?
Gosh, 3 or 4.
And did you, oh god, that is hardly any of them. There's 12 or 15 or maybe even 20 of the damn thing. But did you find the translator or the ability to translate some of them into English? because you were in a foreign language you couldn't read, right? Like just gibberish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a device you get, it's like the code reader or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You type in you type in some information into the menu screen, and it changes the, you can actually physically change the level. There are certain items you can only get by going to a location and typing in a thing, and bam, you get it. And you normally get the information for where that is from these notes. Well, in order to translate the notes, I think it was another note I found that gave me the code to type in to translate the notes so that I could, but yeah, so you translate the notes, and some of the notes contradict the information you're given through dialogue in the game.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So once again, the people who made this game, if you play through and all you pay attention to are the cutscenes and the dialogue, the story is pretty straightforward. You are a guy named Trace working in a lab. Bam, explosion in lab. You're injured. You spend time in a coma, and you theorize, and when you wake up from this coma, you have this wonderful idea of how to make an awesome, epic thing, and nobody believes you, and they start calling you this derogatory term, which is a Greek term related to being an outsider or an outcast.
Yeah.
And then you and your good doctor friend end up finding your way to this alternate dimension, which is like a hub world for traveling between dimensions, except the people there have turned their technology into a religion. So, and they are preventing you from using the hub world to accomplish great technological feats. So you decide, fuck these guys, and you become their big murderer guy. And during this, you had healed yourself in one of their regeneration pods, which lets them clone you. And the player character throughout the game is one of these clones going to stop the main bad guy. And then as a reward for stopping him, the big robot century people, whatever the hell they are, send you back to an alternate universe or back through time or whatever, so that you wake up right after the explosion, you're all healthy and hale, but you're still obsessed with this place and you want to get back. Right? Which could theoretically lead to you going back and starting the whole cycle over again.
Yeah.
In an Evoland time travel type thing. Until you get to the scene where, you get shot by the actual bad guy who somehow survived or whatever. But, yeah, if you read through the notes, one of the notes highly suggests that the big robot people you're working for throughout this whole game are the ones to send out the toxin. Because let's face it, they're not affected by it.
Yeah.
The bad guy is. He is currently dying from it when you face him at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So one of the notes suggested they are the ones who sent it out, not the bad guy. There is a note that Trace supposedly wrote, that Trace can find, that talks about some really weird, I don't remember the contents of it, but it casts a lot of doubt on everything that you're getting through dialogue. And yeah, if you get all of the notes and all the supplementary material and stuff, the story of this game calls, like, there is no way that everything can be justified in one coherent narrative, I am pretty damn sure. I am fairly certain the people who made the game threw in deliberately contradictory material and deliberately contradictory stuff to provoke the sorts of theorizing and shit that the internet loves to do.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't.
A lot of people try it. A lot of people screw it up royally. These guys did a decent enough job, because if all you do is pay attention to cinematics, you've got a pretty coherent narrative. There's not a lot contradictory involved in that. Everything seems kosher and makes sense. It's not until you delve into all the supplementary material that you start getting all the contradictory stuff. And all the theorizing, and a lot of people screw up and put the contradictory stuff into the main narrative, and that just really breaks the main narrative.
Yeah, which reminds me, you're saying all the stuff about praising the developers. This game was developed by one person.
Right. Yes, it was written and done by one guy with some business help for marketing and what have you.
Yeah.
But the actual game design and everything was one guy. Yep.
Yeah, Axiom Verge is... The bottom line for me, Axiom Verge is a good game. I suggest playing it if you're a Metroidvania fan.
Yeah. Bottom line for me, the gameplay. It's a lot of fun. All the extra weapons are a little unnecessary. But it's not like, they're super hard to find or anything. The gameplay's got a decent amount of challenge. If you don't go find all the extra stuff, there are some parts that will straight up murder you. And to do it well, you then have to go backtrack and find the hidden items that you can now access because you have new items that you didn't have last time you went through the area. You can then move on to the harder area. It's good. The story is serviceable. Like I said, the main narrative has a decent, if not overwhelmingly good plot. And if you're super into it, you can delve into a bunch of extra narrative to completely mind-bend the shit out of the story, and you can spend hours, days. I'm sure there's years worth of Reddit posts of people going on and on about what actually happened in this game and in the history, the before time of the game. Because the actual narrative of during the game while you're playing is very straightforward. The events that happen are very straightforward. But the motivations and the backstory and everything that happened before it is definitely up for interpretation. That's the type of thing you're into. Go for it. RJ, what's your bottom line on your hour playthrough?
It was fun. If I didn't get so easily frustrated at games like this, I probably would have enjoyed it more. And I'm going to try to give it a shot once another shot here when I have some more free time on my hands.
All right. So, with that, we got about a half hour left. I could spend easily that much time screaming about Independence Day. So let's start. Independence Day Resurgence, 20 years after the original film, they do a sequel. As a general rule, that is a terrible idea. Last week, we tried it with Ghostbusters to less than positive fanfare. This week, we're trying it with Independence Day, and still not breaking the mold on this one, fellas. We do have Tron and its sequel is a possibility of topic coming up in a week where nothing else good's coming out, and they didn't do it either.
Oh, come on.
I liked Tron films, but that doesn't make them good. Anyway, Independence Day. I wanted to like this movie because I loved the original Independence Day. It's a fantastic movie in my opinion. It's a fantastic movie in a lot of people's opinions. They did a lot right, both just as general nerd film and just from general good filmmaking. This movie, not so much. There are a few moments in it that really hit home that were like, yes, for 20 years. People have mentioned an Independence Day sequel as a possibility, and I've known it wasn't going to be a good idea, but part of me always goes, "Woohoo! Independence Day sequel, yay!"
This is like the reason anyone wants to elect Trump as a president. It's like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
But yeah, there were definite moments in this film that made me everything I ever wanted out of an Independence Day movie was in this film. There were those moments, and then there were the moments that made me go, "Oh my God, why? Just why?"
Yeah, even because I preparation for this, I watched the original Independence Day movie before I watched this one, and it was a good movie. Like, that was an awesome movie. This movie, It was bad. It was capital BAD underline exclamation mark bad.
Yeah, no. There was so much in this movie shoehorned in because, well, near as I can tell, they took the original script and went, okay, we need to do this again. But different enough that we aren't called rip-off artists. So they shoehorned in a bunch of stuff just because it was in the original movie. But they changed enough stuff that it no longer made sense. And then they shoehorned in a bunch of stuff because this is supposed to be the first film in a new trilogy of films. They shoehorned in a bunch of stuff that isn't going to pay off until film 2 or film 3.
Wait, there's supposed to be 2 more films?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You know the whole sphere thing?
Yeah.
Right? That was a major thing and really didn't have a lot to do with this movie at all. Yeah, those aliens, that sphere thing represented, is, like, they're supposed to go find those guys in the second movie or something to continue fighting these bad guys.
No.
So examples of what I'm talking about here. Well, the sphere thing. Basically every scene that thing is in and everything involved with that, just being shoehorned in for sequels, really didn't serve this movie at all. The whole love triangle angle, it's not technically a love triangle by the classic definition, but you've got what is his name? Captain Hiller, I can't remember his first name. Will Smith's son. Everybody keeps forgetting to mention the fact that it's actually Will Smith's stepson. But yeah, so Will Smith's son, and I don't even remember that guy's name. Thor's brother, not Loki, the unknown brother of Thor, who happens to be a pilot on Earth. And because he's played by Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And the chick who plays the president's daughter, who different actress, I believe.
Yeah.
But in the original Independence Day, the president had a little girl, who was a daughter. She's grown up, and they have the little love triangle between them, where Liam Hemsworth and the girl are dating, but all three of them used to be good friends until something happened between the guys that
Actually, I looked at that and called it a friend triangle.
Sure. But I mean, the only reason that served no purpose in this movie.
Yeah, there was no reason for that at all.
The only reason it's in this movie is because in the original Independence Day, you had a similar situation between the president and David and the press secretary, I think he was. Where David and the press secretary had been an item prior to her breaking up with him so she could go be press secretary and work for the fucking president. Yeah. It worked there. It was good background information on these characters, good character development for them. Here it was white noise. They added it literally because it was in the first movie. Judd Hirsch in the car with the kids driving cross country was in this movie because they had those kids driving cross country in their RV in the first movie. But at least then, when they got to where they were going, there was a whole emotional thing because they were Randy Quaid's kids, and Randy Quaid was kind of vital to the first movie. That was an emotional gut punch and an actual served the purpose of this movie. These kids were just in the movie. I guess in the end, they were kind of in the way and could have been murdered and artificially up the stakes of the ending a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, because children traveling across country with an elder parent figure was in the first movie, it had to be in this one. Judd Hirsch's whole character was in the first movie, so he had to be in this one. The only part where let's shoehorn in a character who was in the first movie just because was Brent Spiner's character. But at least in this movie, he was fucking awesome.
Gosh, who's Brett Spiner's character again?
The crazy white-haired doctor guy who woke up from a coma? How do you not recognize Brent Spiner? Jesus.
Well,
do you even know who Brent Spiner is?
No.
Data from Star Trek Next Generation, man.
Holy... Oh my god. That's a...
Yes. That's what he looks like without the makeup.
Different makeup. Oh, God. Brent Spiner without makeup is scary.
But yeah, just so many things were just shoehorned into this movie that weren't good or helpful or...
Yeah.
Also, Wesley, in your opinion, should the movie have been 20 minutes shorter? Like, literally, not cutting anything else. If you think about... If you were picturing the moment I am thinking about, there is the moment where they should have just ended the movie there, done a little bit of fanfare afterwards, and called it about 20 minutes before the actual end of the film.
Yep. I know. Yeah. Like right for the Queen attacks.
Yeah, eliminate that whole thing. The whole Queen attacking thing. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Just end it there, and I would have been fine.
Yeah. RJ, you didn't see the movie. We're gonna spoil this for you.
No, it's okay, dude. I knew that going into this week with all the lack of time I had, so...
Yeah, okay. Here's what happens. You remember how near the end of the original Independence Day, Randy Quaid flies up into that thing and
I remember
delivers that line of dialogue just before sacrificing himself to just, and that crashes the alien ship, and then all the other alien ships, everyone's like, hey, we know how to destroy them. You shoot their big beam weapon, right? There is a scene where President Whitwer does the exact same thing. He's about to detonate a nuke, sacrificing himself to kill the Queen, and we believe end the day. And he's got a great line for it. And then the Queen has a force field or something and doesn't die, and proceeds on foot as this, 15, 20 foot, 30 foot tall, I don't even know how tall, I'm very poor at judging relative heights.
I'd say 90 feet.
Yeah. She turns into a fucking kaiju monster to finish out the damn movie.
What?
Yeah. The end of the movie is literally a kaiju film. The Queen is attacking Area 51 as a giant kaiju, and they're shooting fucking tanks and shit at her, trying to kill her.
God.
And another major problem with this film that was technically a problem with the original film, that in the original film was much more easily glossed over. How the fuck does all this technology work?
I know exactly.
Because in the original film, they mentioned how the ship at Area 51 just started lighting up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the mothership had come around. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And yet all the technology on the ship just started lighting up for some reason. But then when the mothership was blown up, not all of the ships crashed. Their shields did for some reason. Don't get me wrong. This whole contradictory thing is a crux of the thing, where supposedly the mothership is supplying energy to these big ships.
No. Remember they uploaded that virus? Or are we talking about the first movie?
Oh, right, yeah. The explosion was secondary. It was the virus that shut down the shields.
The virus that shut down the shields.
Okay.
God, why do I remember this shit?
Well, it's a good thing you did, because now the original movie, outside of the ship in Area 51 lighting up for some reason when the mothership came into orbit,
it was good. It's a good thing that the alien software was Linux compatible.
Technically, there is a scene that was cut out of the movie where David talks about how he had to overcome that difference, and how he did overcome that difference, and the director went, that doesn't add anything. Nobody's gonna notice the problem here.
Except all the damn computer nerds that'll watch this fucking movie.
It was 1996. There weren't that many yet. The kinds of people who would find that a glaring loophole were not a large segment of population by this point, by the time that movie came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It was the virus that shut down on the shield.
Yep.
So in this movie, they make it sound like it was a fucking Avengers type scene. Oops! killed the mothership. Everybody else just drops dead.
Like, I even remember hearing that, and I'm like, does the mothership provide power to everyone? Or is the queen is it a hive mind construct?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, they made it sound like it was a hive mind thing. Because they legitimately say there must have been a queen on the first mothership that was here in 96. And when we took it out, that's why we were able to defeat them. Well, except for the one that landed and an African nation fought them for 10 years. That kind of goes against your theory of this.
Well, no, actually, you could... I mean, I know it's not in the movie at all, but you could theorize that maybe they're kind of like bees, that when the queen dies, a new one that, somehow takes over, maybe? I don't know.
Sure, that would make sense. In which case, seeing as how the entire thing in this movie is not like the last movie, let's go upload a virus so we can shut down their shield. It's, let's go kill the queen, because that will magically win the war.
Right.
If they were like bees, they'd get a new queen, and this plan is stupid. But literally, that's the entire plan here. And I had forgotten about the virus thing in the original, so even here, it goes against the original film. Like, killing the queen, which wasn't even a thing they were trying to do, it would have been completely accidental, in the original film. They talk about it being why they won, and therefore, let's duplicate that. When it should be, let's install a new virus. This movie spends so much time getting things wrong. Like, the opening scene is the new president, what seems like her giving a speech, actually her practicing a speech, because it's just a voiceover. She says, in the last 20 years, no one on Earth has seen armed conflict. Except, of course, for the African nation fighting a guerrilla war against the aliens for the last decade.
Only they. And we don't talk about them because they don't trade with us often, and,
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? But yeah, and then, they completely retcon the entire purpose for the aliens being here and their way of going about it. Because in the original movie, they talk about how the aliens are like locusts. They show up, they burn through a population's natural resources, they move on.
Yeah, I remember that.
They were going around destroying major cities because that was going to eliminate humans and allow them unfettered access to the world's natural resources. In this movie, they reveal that over in Africa, one of the ships was not blowing up cities. It was drilling into the Earth's core because they're planning on stealing the Earth's core.
What?
For a reason. So the entire thing of this is a new big ship shows up. Instead of a bunch of ships, it's one ship.
What the fuck would they gain by stealing the Earth's core? Seriously.
I don't know. I literally have no idea.
How the fuck would you even steal the core of a planet to begin with?
We didn't get that far. They never finished drilling their massive hole.
No, wait. The orb explained it. They used the Earth's core as what is it called? Fuel.
You know why this is stupid? Let's see here. I'm gonna name a few reasons. Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter.
Well, here's the thing: do they all have the same type of core same type of metal in the core that we do?
Here's a question: how the fuck do the aliens know what type of core we have? What kind of aliens are going to develop a fuel source that is dependent upon such a unique thing as the core of our planet, as opposed to, I don't know, a gas giant? They're way more plentiful, have way more material.
Or hell, if it's based around what the core of a planet is made out of, if I remember correctly, our core is made out of nickel?
Well, nobody actually knows what our core is made out of. It's theorized to be made out of metal.
Yeah, it's theorized that it's liquefied metal. So therefore, couldn't they just find the same kind of metal in, I don't know, a fucking asteroid? belt
Yes,
or something.
no, that's the thing, is that metals exist in way easier to find places than our core.
Like, what the fuck?
And, like, the original film made it sound like they needed our natural resources. You know, like the food, the ability to grow food, the animals, the plant, not just metal, not just a fuel source. They were described as locusts because, like locusts, that's how they survive. They go from planet to planet. If it's just we need the core for a fuel source, now it's, oh, look, there's the Quick Trip. There's the Super America. Except this is the Super America with guns that shoot at the people trying to fuel up for some reason. Yeah. Nothing about this makes any fucking sense.
Oh, dear,
like, in the original Independence Day, it's science fiction. Don't get me wrong. They took some liberties. But then they still did a, semi-decent job of...
Yeah, they try to keep it within the realm of possibility.
Right. The whole aliens using our satellites as a communication thing as a method of broadcasting around a planet. Because of the difficulty of maintaining line of sight communication, that actually made sense. And then hijacking that is a method of distributing their virus. Made sense.
Fuck.
Their ship, or their mothership, which was way smaller than the one in this movie, staying in orbit. Because it's too fucking big to come land on the planet. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Here they're just like, oh no, we're just gonna take our massive giant ship and... you have to ask yourself, if this is a thing they could have done, why didn't they do it the first time around?
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Exactly, and...
Yeah, and what I love is they even throw out the line in the movie, it's so big it has its own gravity. While it is flying so close to the moon that literally the ship that the heroes are in on the moon gets sucked up to it somehow and is unable to leave its gravitational pull.
Jesus Christ.
Which also makes no sense because the moon is still larger than it, because otherwise the moon wouldn't have been able to leave its gravitational pull. But it was able to pull them out of the moon's gravitational pull and into its own gravitational pull. And B, this is a ship that without any other assisting, no booster rockets or anything that fell off, just, 10 minutes earlier in the movie, had left Earth's gravitational pull. But it can't leave the alien spaceship's gravitational pull for some reason.
I don't know. I got no answers.
I got nothing either, man.
Neither did the scriptwriter. Also, what was with the scene? It was like 30 seconds long. Why is there a scene other than to go, hey, look at this, where they chose to fly through the debris field of the mothership?
No clue.
Like, even if that debris field was somehow still there, why not go around it?
Yeah.
You have a ship that can make it from Earth to the moon in a couple of hours. Flying around that debris field is going to be nothing.
Yeah.
Why fly through it? Especially when it's so dense with debris, you're running into shit. Just go around it, genius! But yeah, no, just everything about the science in this film was so fucking retarded.
Yeah.
Just so goddamn bad. And they shoehorned in all sorts of shit, and they put in that fucking lame joke of the massive ship is, like landing over Earth, and they're over, what was it, like Hong Kong or somewhere in China, and a bunch of people go running down the road, screaming their heads off, and the dude in the taxi cab with the headphones on somehow doesn't notice anything. I'm sorry, I've worn headphones. Trust me, you'd notice that. Bottom line for me, outside of a handful of moments, basically everything Brent Spiner was in, I love the line where he leaned over to his colleague and said, "Why didn't you tell me my ass was hanging out?" A few moments. Brent Spiner did an excellent job. He brought in some fantastic things, even though his entire presence was a retcon. I'm pretty sure he was dead, just straight up dead after the events of the first movie.
He was all the dead.
Yes. So they retconned him back in, but hey, that actually worked. Again, a few other moments. The one with President Whitmore, him blowing himself up there at the end, was very tragic, very touching, and then it was completely ruined by the rest of the film. Yeah, bottom line is, for the most part, this movie blows. It's a bad film. It's a bad sequel. It shits on the first movie's legacy and promises to do it twice more in its sequel. I hate it.
Yeah, my bottom line, I'm gonna follow my grading skill I did for Now You See Me Too. How does it function as a sequel? It's shit. How does it function as a movie? It's shit. How does it function as a story? It's shit. Don't watch this movie.
And yeah, I'm gonna go watch it later tonight when I'm laying in bed being miserable for my sinuses being all jacked up.
As last time, it is punishment for not having done it beforehand.
Yeah, I know.
I had to sit through it, so do you. Hell, I've sat through it twice now. Why do I always watch all of these things twice? I saw X-Men twice. God, I hate my life. At least I've only seen Alice through the Looking Glass once.
Hey, next week we're doing Fantastic Four, the new one.
We are? No! No!
Oh, don't forget about the Rocky Horror thing we were going to talk about next week, too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, next week, we are going to do, it's a week out of date, but I think Fox screwed up, not us. This deserves to be closer to Halloween than it was. Fox did a remake of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It was aired on Thursday of this past week, Thursday, October the 20th?
Yeah, it was Thursday. Yeah, 20th.
Whatever the Thursday was. Hey, 20th, I'm good at this. But yeah, we're going to discuss that this upcoming. Our podcast will be on the 30th, our live stream. And yeah, in our opinion, Rocky Horror Picture Show, it deserves to be closer to that. Not necessarily because it's scary, but because, well, let's face it, good Halloween's not scary anyway. It's absurd and weird and involves a lot of drunk adults in costume. And as I can tell, that is the premise of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Drunk adults in costume.
Especially if you go to Hollywood Boulevard like I used to back when I lived in Chicago.
Yes. In addition to that, we are going to be talking about Dark City. A lot of people will tell you that it is a ripoff of The Matrix, in which case I love it even more. The scriptwriters ripped off The Matrix and went back in time to release it 6 months before The Matrix came out.
So you can almost say Matrix is a ripoff of Dark City, except a shittier ripoff.
And then our game for next week, Grim Fandango.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, Grim Fandango is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Another LucasArts adventure game.
That
this
I
one
swear I'll beat.
You swear you'll be what?
I swear I'll play it and beat it.
You're going to play it for more than an hour this time?
I'm going to play it for more than an hour this time.
This is the Esoteric Podcast. You can follow us live every Sunday on Twitch. We're at twitch.com or twitch.tv / the Esoteric Podcast. I think there's some underscores in there somewhere.
The _esoteric_podcast.
Yes. Okay. We're also available over on YouTube. You may have listened to this right here on YouTube. We're on YouTube. We're the Esoteric Podcast on YouTube. You can also find pre-recorded videos over on YouTube. We do a fair number of pre-recorded videos. We've got album reviews, and we've got all sorts of stuff like that. You can, if you want to check out what we're doing when we're doing it, over on Twitter, we pretty much always get up when our videos are going live on YouTube, and we try to remind everybody 15-20 minutes before we watch, or before we live stream on Twitch. And we're looking to do better Twittering.
We'd like to
we
treat her
hopefully
better.
have a blog up soon, maybe this week.
Do it for the meme.
I am T.J.Bunker. I am a author by trade. I have one published book called The Future Calls. You can find it on Amazon, both as an ebook and as a physical hard copy book. I do have a Twitter handle. It is at T.J.Bunker. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Haven't used it in a while. Not really a point following it, but hey, maybe I'll start using it again someday. I'd say, let me know if you want me to post things on Twitter, but I haven't checked Twitter to get those, so not helpful. With me is, of course, Wesley, who is Demosai. He does not live streams. He does album reviews on Mondays. He does
Improvised Let's Plays on Fridays.
Let's Plays on Fridays with another buddy of his. He has some other things in the works with some other buddies on some other channels, so keep an eye out for him. And RJ goes by Tuskgarr. You can check him out right on Twitch. He is Tuskgarr on Twitch, and he does live streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Normally, but currently live streams are kind of on a temporary hiatus due to the fact that I'm working my ass off trying to get money to get my car fixed.
All right. So when he is live streaming over on Twitch. Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know I've seen him do WoW. I've seen him do Minecraft.
Do a little bit of Battlefield 4, some Black Ops 3.
Some Battlefield 4 and Black Ops 3, apparently. Maybe you'll start seeing him live stream some of the games we play for this podcast. Nobody knows. So yeah.
I'm hoping to soon.
Yeah. And if you want to check us, or not check us out, if you want to support us, help us out, maybe we can get some cameras, you can see what we look like, we can get some better mics, some better equipment,
an awesome secretary.
An awesome secretary. Support us over on Patreon. We are the Esoteric Podcast on Patreon, and we are putting together plans for how to provide things for our patrons that not necessarily everybody else can get. That way, patrons get a little more reward for going that extra mile and giving us some money to help us out. So, with that, that is everything for this week. Wesley, tell us about the intro and outro music.
All right, the producer of our outro and intro is a producer by the name of Musicality Music. I've worked with him in the past. He's an amazing producer. There will be a link to his channel in the YouTube description. Anyways, thank you for watching this. We will see you next time. Goodbye.